Hey guys, it's me Charlie. Today I want to show you guys what I do to make baby chick food, high protein, high calcium for your newborn baby chicks, or if you have baby button quails like I do, or Coterna quails, any type of little baby chick. And you can even feed this to your regular birds that you have at home, like finches and canaries and parakeets and lovebirds and cockatiels. The larger breed birds, like maybe probably I don't know, like the African grays and the Amazons and the macaws, they're really not going to like some of the stuff that we're making because it's not big enough. It's actually a little too small and fine. But this is crushed oyster, or this is actually oyster shell. It's crushed, and I'm actually going to grind it more so that way it's easier to feed it to your birds. And this is going to be almost like a powder. Some pieces are going to be a little bit thicker and some pieces are going to be like powder, but I don't want it too powdery. I want it small enough that the birds can eat it whole. Now this here is actually pond koi fish food. And as you can see here, my cats loved it. They tore the bag when I went to the store and bought it. If you buy yourself some of this pond fish food, it looks just like cat food and it smells very strong like fish food. This is high in protein. This is another thing you can feed. If you have chickens, you can feed this whole to them and they'll eat it. But if you can get a grinder, this is actually a coffee grinder, and if you could put a little bit in here and grind it up and add it to this mixture that we're going to make, this would be very healthy for your birds to have high protein and calcium. And as you can see here, I made already some for my baby chicks. My last set of baby chicks, I had some black-faced red-breasted, some pieds, tuxedo pieds, some normal red-breasted. There was a few white ones, and cinnamon red-breasted, and I think that was it. But this is really fine, and the baby chicks that are eating for the first time are able to eat this. And also, I had some leftover fish food, and it was actually a pellet fish food that none of my fish and oxalotls like eating, so I just crushed it and grind it up. You could probably see a few of the little, oh yeah, that's actually a whole one right there. Well, not really. It was bigger than this. And I grinded it up and stick it in here for the high protein. If you have leftover fish food, the fish flakes, and you don't have any more fish, but yet you have some baby chicks, go ahead and throw that in there too. They'll eat that up. So this is really high in protein. Now this does not have any calcium, so the crushed oyster shell is what we're going to add next. And then I have here just regular chicken food. This is a crumble, and this is what a lot of people buy for their chickens. It's got a lot of crushed corn and everything that they do to make the crumble. And when your quail get bigger, you have to feed them this. This stuff is great. It's 22% protein, and it's their daily food along with everything else that you're going to feed them. And grit is another thing that would be great to add to this. I have actually a bag of grit, which I'll show you guys that next. And what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be adding, after I grind these two things up, I'm going to be adding it to my chicken food, so that way I have a well-balanced feed for them. So let me show you that next. So I went ahead and grinded up enough of this fish food here, the koi fish food pond pellets, to kind of look perfect for baby button quail or baby chicks. This is just pure koi fish food. And here I have a strainer and a large bowl. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump this all in there. And through the little tiny holes there, all of the powder pieces are going to fall in. And all of the large pieces are going to stay on top. The large pellets I'm going to regrind. And the parts that are medium size, I'm going to ignore, because those medium size, you can go ahead and throw it in with the rest of the powder. Because it's not really powdery, it's more of a crumble. And the medium-sized pieces is a perfect crumble, but of course, you know, you can't get that to be perfect size. Remember to, you know, kind of tap the bottom of your strainer here, because it will clog up with the powdery crumble. Alright, so I think we're done with that part. So look at that. Take a look at the bottom. That's what's left over. See the large pieces? I'm going to take those out by hand, and the rest of the little fine crumbles, I'm just going to throw it in with the powder. And this is what it looks like. Doesn't it look pretty? Alright, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these large pieces out and I'm going to add it to this smaller fine crumble. Because the big pieces, the button quails can't pick that up and eat it. It's just too big for them. Button quails are very, very small little quails. And they just have a hard time picking up those big pieces. There's some of the crumble. And I'm going to go ahead and dump that in here. And I just made up a high protein food for my quail or chickens. Now this you want to go ahead and bag up. This has nothing else in it. But I'm going to go ahead and mix some of that together because my birds eat this stuff every single day. And because they eat it every single day, I can't afford to mix it all together. Now the next thing is this oyster shell. I crushed it all. Some of it's very powdery and other parts are kind of still whole pieces, but it's really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and just because I'm curious, I want to see what the difference is left over. Now the powdery stuff is very powdery. That will stick to anything. Ooh, slightly flying around. This is probably something you want to do on your back porch. As I was grinding this stuff up, it was smelling like the ocean in my kitchen. Well, not my whole kitchen, just this area where I'm grinding it. I don't know if you guys can see that, but see the powder coming out? Now this powder stuff, you could actually separate it and keep it separate in a bag, Ziploc bag, and use that for your finches and your other expensive birds so you can put that powdery stuff in there. You know, this might be just good enough for me. Let me look. The bottom is a little bit clogged. Whew. Alright. See how powdery that is? Now I'm mixing that up with the fish pellet food for koi. Yeah. A little bit stinky. There you go. And now I'm going to mix in some of my chicken scratch. I'll put about a half a bag of that in there. There's no exact precise measurements. It really doesn't matter. You just want to mix together what you think looks good. Kind of like when you're cooking in the kitchen. If you don't want to touch this, you know, just use a plastic ladle, spoon, whatever. Now, even though I have oyster shell in here, it's a little bit powdery and fine. I'm going to go ahead and add some of this because it's nice and crumbly. And I want to keep some of the other stuff and bag it or jar it in something else. Now the last thing I have here is some chicken food, the actual chicken food. I'm going to add this chicken scratch to this. Again, doesn't matter how much you put together. Just make something up pretty for them. Now, if you decide to give this to your baby chicks, there are going to be some pieces that are big and some that are small. They'll pick through it. But if you're worried, make sure the pieces aren't too big because you don't want your little baby chicks kind of choking on that and doing little cartwheels because they just can't stand it. And there you go. So this is my high calcium, high protein food for my quail, my button quail, my Coturnix quails, and chickens. I don't have any chickens, but this is good chicken food here. And I think that's it. You could also add to this vitamins. If you have powdered vitamins, which I use Quaco, I think it's pronounced, it's a powdered vitamin. You can add a whole bottle to this and just mix it together. And that's a fantastic way of putting protein in there. There's another product, I can't remember the name. The bottle is white and the label is yellow, and I believe it starts with an A. And I can't remember, but it's used for monkeys, horses, dogs, cats, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and it's also a vitamin supplement. And if you guys know the name of it, I just am drawing a blank right now on the name of it. Write a comment below on the name of this product, and it's a good vitamin. And right now on eBay, I noticed they have 2 pounds of it for like $17.95 with the shipping included in that price. So I would suggest always give your animals vitamins. It extends their life and it makes for a healthy pet and a happy pet. They'll have beautiful plumage. This calcium will help with their feather growth, and it's just a really good thing to do. You should be taking vitamins yourself. I do. Now, this is the other mixture I have. It's the one with the chicken food. I actually had some organic pellets that I got that was a chicken food. None of my animals liked it, and I tasted it myself, and it's bitter. No wonder they didn't like the organic chicken food. So I grinded it up. That's why it's a little bit lighter. And there's also fish food in here, and there's some Daphnia fish food that was dehydrated. It's dehydrated Daphnia. And you know what I did is I put some of that in water, and I was able to get baby Daphnia to form out of Daphnia food. So when you go to the pet store, check out the Daphnia fish, dried fish food they have for amphibians, and buy a bottle if it's on sale, or if you just want to buy it and feed it to your amphibians or your fish. But when you put a little bit, like maybe a teaspoon of it, into like a gallon of water, all kinds of little creatures hatch from it because of the dehydrated eggs in there. And you can keep that stuff forever and years, and it will still be good. But I added that to this mixture. So this is a really high protein mixture. It's very healthy for your birds. It's not going to do any harm. And look how much I made, a whole bowl full. And this will be gone within a week, feeding all my quail and my few of my birds and finches. Finches love to pick through this. So this is a really good high protein and calcium and mineral. I'm going to add some vitamins to this because I have a powdered container of vitamins. You can add other things in there. There's some kind of a kelp powder you can add to it. You could also add bee pollen. You could just make up anything. This is just really good for the birds. It'll help with egg production as well. So if you have any comments, any questions, don't forget to rate the video, favorite this video if you can, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks!